We got to talk some NFL football. Even though we're in the dead of the offseason, there's always something to talk about.
Always.
And I think when we look at the local market here, we talk about the Giants and Jets. Jets get Aaron Rodgers. A lot of excitement. Giants had a great season, but the Giants' great season was thanks in large part to the contributions of Saquon Barkley, who's been hurt for a while, finally had a healthy season. And now, because of these contract negotiations, there is a potential for him to hold out next season. And I was just wondering, is that a real possibility? Would he actually do that?
When you look at contract negotiation, especially like in the NFL, I feel like you really the first thing you got to do is just what is the guy's value, right? And what are we going to try and pay him? And not even if that's what the contract's going to look like, but what do we feel his value is? I feel like Saquon's an outlier. We don't have any idea. He's so this is the 10th time I've said this, but it's just a miscellaneous kind of career. It's, he could look like a top 5 back in the league, and also, durability wise, he could look like a bottom 5 back in the league. So it's a weird place that he's kind of currently sitting when we kind of try and estimate his value. So I think it definitely puts the Giants in kind of a sticky spot, but I definitely think that I wouldn't be too worried about injury. I would just kind of try and get my guy, get my superstar, get the guy that all the kids have his jersey on in the crowd, and just get that guy locked down. And, enough of the funny business.
It is such a tough situation because historically, forever, running backs, they don't last very long. In the NFL, it stands for not for long. That's always what they say. Saquon has been with the Giants since, I believe, 2018, the second overall pick, very high for a running back. At this point, most of the time, I think you look over, Minnesota cut ties with Dalvin Cook, I'm pretty sure, who just had a season on par with Barkley, but I think they looked at the numbers, they're like, okay, it's not worth it long term. Now, the tough thing for the Giants is Barkley had some tough years because of all those injuries, and he finally came around, and it was this great moment, new coaching staff, new GM, and it was a feel-good season, and now, all of a sudden, I think, it'd feel wrong to let him go. It'd feel wrong to not pay him that, even though it doesn't make sense long term, because in 2 years, Saquon Barkley, he might not be a serviceable back anymore.
Yeah, I feel like the Giants, at least in my life, have been a bit of an outlier when it comes to a running back durability, because I feel like running backs in New York, specifically with the Giant camp, tend to stay around a little while.
They do.
Tiki Barber was around for a long time. I feel like Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs were the only running backs I knew in my childhood.
Yep.
And I do feel like there's a little more from the organization and from the Mara family, maybe just a little more of a leash there when it comes to the RB.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be interesting, and especially I feel like a guy like Saquon should have a lot more years in him. It's not necessarily that we're even thinking he's a young guy. So I don't know. It's interesting. I am in the same camp I was just now, where I kind of just pay him. Obviously, if he asks for too much, running back's a bit of a disposable position.
That's right.
But I think Saquon is one of those guys that kind of is an outlier in that, where it's kind of like he changes the game almost in a way where he's not, interchangeable.
Yeah, no, you want him back just for all those reasons.
100%.
And you just got to figure out the numbers, and I'm hoping they can just figure it out, get it all worked out, because the Giants, if they don't have him, they will not be the same team as last year. That's frankly being honest here.
Mm-hmm.
Another couple topics I want to touch on briefly. Bill's minicamp been pretty interesting.
Similar
Stefon
over
Diggs,
there,
there were a bunch of conflicting reports that came out last week, and it was I think it was that he wasn't showing up to minicamp, and everyone expected him to be there, and they didn't know where he was. Sean McDermott, head coach, was talking. Josh Allen, they're like, we want Stefon Diggs, we want him. There were a couple moments last year where there was a disconnect between them on the field. I think there's that one clip that's been circulating on Twitter during the snow game when Stefon Diggs walked up to Josh Allen on the bench and sort of threw his arms up and said, I was open, said whatever he was saying, and Josh Allen didn't even look up. He was looking right down at the tablets that they use right on the sideline. Yeah. So I don't know, is there something going on there?
Trouble in paradise, perhaps?
What do we make of that?
I think it's interesting. The Diggs situation is very different from Saquon because it's the same situation, but the player is different.
Mm-hmm.
We know Stefon's value. We know what this Bill team is. This nucleus is the same it's been for the past 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
I don't think he's that valuable to this team. I don't know. He wasn't that great in the second half of the season. He really wasn't. And I feel like Josh is just such a generational talent that it's almost I don't know. I feel like just cutting the losses might be the smart decision here, especially it raised so many red flags to me when they asked McDermott about Diggs, and they asked him if he's concerned, and he was like, yeah, I'm very concerned.
Yeah.
That is almost too much honesty.
Say that publicly.
Yeah, it's almost too much honesty for me. It almost made me uncomfortable, and I just feel I don't know, if it's getting to that point of kind of tension, might be time to cut losses, especially if it's going to in any way negatively impact Josh, because that's the golden boy in Buffalo.
Right. Yeah. Josh will be the quarterback in 10 years there. That's the way it should be.
100%.
Stefon Diggs in 2 years, who knows where he'll be? And I was saying the same thing about Barkley. You just don't know.
Yeah.
It's a sticky situation, and yeah, it's tough because, like you said, Stefon Diggs didn't have, for his standards at least, the type of like the second down the stretch, right? But he's still a really good wide receiver, and the Bills would love to have him back. So, yeah, I really don't. I'm just gonna say I don't know. I don't know what to do about this.
I don't know. Buffalo is it's very confusing there in general because it felt like week 1 last year when they beat the Rams. It's like, oh, this team's gonna win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like this team is the best team in the world by far. But now it's just like it's a bit of a wasteland out there in Buffalo. We don't really know because the talent's all there, right?
Yes.
But it just seems like there's almost little to no organization, and that's gonna be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I mean they did. I mean they lost to Cincinnati, right, in the playoffs, or was it Kansas City? Which one was it?
And
we're both diehard NFL fans. We both watched this game.
I think it was the Chiefs again.
But it wasn't. The Bills did not play well in that game.
No.
They were beaten, and they were beaten, I think, in their home stadium.
Yeah,
right.
Underperforming Diggs for a third playoffs in a row.
Yeah,
this is what I mean.
That's what I'm talking about too. Like,
especially with a guy like Gabe out there as well already at wide out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously he gets a lot of stick from just NFL fans in general, but guys like that, just in general, I just think there's enough pieces there where it doesn't. You don't need to be going through all of this. It's kind of like the Berhalter situation. It's like we're gonna go through all of this, and then he's just gonna come back. Like let's progress a little bit. Let's advance in this situation, and let's become better on the other side of the tunnel.
Seriously. And speaking of becoming better, we're gonna turn the page here finally. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, they collected their Super Bowl rings. There was the ceremony. A bit of fun, I guess I would say, on social media there. There was, you can walk us through it, Chris. Break it down.
Yeah, so Jamar Chase was at NFL Honors, and he basically was asked who the best player in the NFL was, and he said Pat. Someone said Pat around him. I don't know who it was specifically, and he basically said Pat who, and Mahomes at the press conference yesterday, he posted with the 2 rings in the in the formation of a phone up to his ear, and said that's who, right? Or what was the?
I think something like that.
That's who. Basically, but it was very obvious he was talking in context of Jamar, and just a flex, just basically letting people know like that Brady guy might be gone, but like. I'm
There's
that
a new
too.
sheriff in town.
Like I'm that too.
Yeah.
It's kind of a similar. When I saw that, I think of the story Kobe tells when he talks about playing Jordan for the first time and his teammates telling him to call him Black Jesus and to not look into his eyes and like all these things about just being cautious around Michael. And Kobe is like, you don't understand. Like I'm that too. And I feel like that is like just the epitome of what Mahomes is saying here. Like new king in town, basically. Like everyone better be on watch because especially, I mean. They lost the Super Bowl, Kansas City, and now
they beat Philadelphia last year. They lost to Tampa a couple of years ago.
That's what they lost to Tampa.
Mahomes has won 2. He beat San Francisco.
When they lost to Tampa in the preceding year after that, it felt like the most Mahomes slander there had ever been in his career, and it almost felt like people were talking about him as not the best player in the NFL, which is like so idiotic on so many levels. I saw that new quarterback trailer for that Netflix show. Looks tremendous.
Oh my god, I can't wait. It was Kirk Cousins and who's the third one they have? The Journeyman?
It's Mariota.
Mariota, that's right.
But anyway.
That looks awesome.
But yeah, Mahomes just letting everybody know, like, I'm him, and we're not done anytime soon, especially if I got my boy Kelsey playing tight end.
And I think, speaking of the Tampa Super Bowl, there was that one throw. It was an incompletion where he was falling, right, and it became a highlight, even though it was an incompletion, and I saw they put it in the new Madden trailer.
Yeah.
That's now like a move you can perform. I think that's a testament to how good Mahomes is that an incomplete pass, which on paper that's bad, right? You throw an incomplete pass, that becomes a highlight. That becomes something you're known for.
Yeah.
That even when you fail, that people can see the good in that. That just shows how insane he is.
It's a testament to him. And I remember literally watching that play happen and being like, that's the greatest play I've ever seen. And he literally didn't even complete a pass.
Yeah. I mean, the guy should have caught it. I mean, it hit him in the helmet.
It literally did. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
But, it's just incredible, especially the resume he's building now. I mean, obviously the second Super Bowl is just massive on a resume watch. But, like, I was even saying last year, like, he retires right now. He's a Hall of Famer, in my eyes. Yeah. But now he's just building that resume even more, trying to get to that GOAT status. And I don't want to compare him and Brady. I hate doing that, but like just on natural ability, far better.
Because he has wheels, he can move.
Just not even just.
But
mobility.
Tom Brady to me is always going to be the greatest, and I mean Mahomes has to at least match his Super Bowl title, at least from the fans' perspective.
I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't count him out of it. To be honest,
he's young.
He's 5 away.
He's 5 away of just matching it, and he has a great coach in Andy Reid. He's got a guy in Travis Kelce who's like his Gronk, right? It's like Brady needed a guy like that. He had that. So he has all the pieces to succeed for the future. They're in a great system. They just won the Super Bowl. The future's bright for Kansas City.
Absolutely, and it's been bright there for a while already. So it's definitely exciting times in KC for sure.
And the last thing I want to say is to circle back to the comment from Jamar Chase. I think I am so excited for that rivalry, the Chiefs Bengals, and then also like bringing the Buffalo Bills in there. I think those three teams and those three quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and of course Patrick Mahomes in the AFC, are going to be running that conference for the next 10 plus years.
And Aaron Rodgers might have to say something about that.
And that's what makes it so exciting. And you get Aaron Rodgers switching over to the AFC. It's almost like when Tom Brady went to Tampa.
Yeah.
You get a team with all these weapons. Maybe he's older. You don't know what you're getting, but it could sort of shake things up.
Maybe the most exciting AFC we've ever seen going into a season.
I think so. And then on the NFC side, I think it's wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, who even knows? The NFC, I mean, are the Eagles going to just run it back and get back to the Super Bowl? Maybe. But you have the Giants are pretty good. Dallas, I think, has a formidable-ish roster.
Some guys making noise in Seattle, maybe.
You got guys
maybe
up
a little.
in Seattle. Don't forget about San Francisco. We'll see how they're going to look. I mean,
who's their quarterback?
And then there's the NFC South, which is like, what's that going to look like? Who even knows? But then up north, for the first time ever, I think Detroit, are the odds-on favorites.
Congratulations to Detroit. Yeah. I love to see them succeed. I rooted for them at Lambeau to beat the Packers so we can get into the playoffs. They did so.
Yep.
I love that Lion team so much. I would love to see them win that division this year.